More than 3 million people died world over in 2015 because of smoking. The highest number of deaths have been recorded in 4 countries, that of India, US, Russia and China. 11% smokers in the world live right here in India. And a lot more people are taking to smoking because now 1 in every 4 men is smoking, and that is the biggest risk factor resulting in disability and early death. This according to the latest estimates from the Global Burden of Disease study published in The Lancet. Good evening, this is India Prime. I'm Sana Khan. Tonight we discuss this disturbing study and more news stories from across the country. But first, the headlines. Bizarre poll campaigning in Tamil Nadu. A faction led by former Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam campaigns using a dummy coffin of the late Chief Minister. Smoking is responsible for 1 in 10 deaths worldwide. India among the top 4 victim countries. Fight over flying rights in the Indian Parliament. Lawmakers from the Shiv Sena confront the aviation minister to protest the airline ban on a party MP for ruckus on flight. Opposition uproar in the Parliament over the killing of a man transporting cows by vigilante groups. The government promises swift action. And the police detain a school cricket team in Jammu and Kashmir for allegedly singing the national anthem of Pakistan. The NIA likely to question these boys. Right, first let's get you this breaking news that we're getting right now, coming in from Maharashtra, where Shiv Sena's MP Ravindra Gaikwad, we're hearing, has finally apologized to Air India, also writing a letter to the aviation minister for physically assaulting a senior staff member for not giving him a seat in the business class of that airline. Aviation ministry sources have said that the ban could now be lifted soon, as Gaikwad has tendered in his apology for this act, which took place on the 23rd of March. Ministry sources are also saying that Gajapati Raju, who's the civil aviation minister, will examine this apology letter that has been submitted to him earlier today. He will also take a call on revoking the ban soon. Remember, 5 commercial airlines, including Air India, had put Gaikwad in the no-fly list. His flight tickets were also cancelled twice in the recent past. Let me get in the latest from WION's correspondent Sumit Chaturvedi joining us with the very latest on this. Sumit, what exactly are the details of that letter that WION has access to? What is this Shiv Sena MP now saying in that apology letter?
Well, now this has come to a different conclusion altogether. Now Shiv Sena MP Gaikwad, who was so far, defending his ex, now he has written an unapologetic letter to Aviation Minister Raju, saying that he is regretting what has happened. So clearly he's sorry for his deed, and he's clearly not very happy with whatever he has done. So clearly we can say that it's a letter of forgiveness which has been written. Well, today ministry sources are saying that after Aviation Minister was manhandled in Parliament, Minister took a serious view of that, and in light of that incident happening, there was a meeting in which Lok Sabha Speaker was also present. In that meeting, Gaikwad was told that he has done something wrong for which he should be ashamed. And that's why on the basis of that, he has written a letter. We are hearing that very soon Ministry will take a call on removing he will be able to fly on the flight. Private airlines will take a call on this.
All right. So, Sumit, this lawmaker, he assaulted, staff member of Indian Airlines. Then he created ruckus even post that, and today in the Parliament as well. In all likelihood, it seems that once he tenders his apology, and from what you're saying, it might be accepted, he will be able to fly on all these airlines. So, basically, everything seems to be working now in this lawmaker's favor. No harsh action, really, at the end of it all.
Absolutely, Sana, because what else could have been the overall conclusion of this saga? Because he has done something for which he has said sorry. But saying sorry from an MP side is itself a very big thing coming. Because what else he could have done? Because it was also after on F5, an alteration that happened between
Right.
India. Clearly, the whole story will end now like this, that he has an apology letter on which a ministry will act and will allow him to fly. We expect this call to be taken very soon.
All right, Sumit, thanks so much for joining us there with all those details on this developing story. Now, let's do a recap of what's been happening through the day. We saw unprecedented scenes in the parliament earlier, wherein this Shiv Sena lawmaker, he went charging at the civil aviation minister, Gajapati Raju, who had refused to intervene on the flight ban on Ravindra Gaikwad for assaulting an airline staffer. The minister had said that the law will take its course. This happened just moments after Gaikwad defended his action, saying that he had only shoved the airline staffer who had insulted him. Shiv Sena has alleged a breach of MP's privilege, as he had been barred not just by the national carrier but also private airliners. Meanwhile, the Home Minister of the country has said that Gajapati Raju, who is the aviation minister, will talk to all stakeholders for an amicable solution. The Shiv Sena earlier also threatened to stall Air India operations in Mumbai and Pune, after which the national air carrier has tightened security at the airports, and now comes this apology. Meanwhile, the Shiv Sena has given earlier on its ally, the BJP, time till the 10th of April to decide on the matter. The party also had threatened to boycott NDA meetings if any action wasn't taken.
असली गुनहगार जो है, जिसकी वजह से ये सब हो रहा है, एयर इंडिया और सब कुछ और एयरलाइंस कंपनी, सभी ने सांसद को टारगेट किया है। क्यों टारगेट किया है, किसके दबाव में टारगेट किया है, उसके पीछे कौन है, उसका भी जल्दी पर्दाफाश हो जाएगा। उनका क्या गुनाह है आप मुझे बताइए। ठीक है, जो होगा कानून से होगा। एफआईआर दाखिल है, दिल्ली पुलिस इंक्वायरी कर रही है, कानून अपना काम करेगा। अब तक सच सामने नहीं आया है किसने किया और क्या किया है, लेकिन आप एक सांसद के ऊपर, इस देश के एक नागरिक के ऊपर सीधा बैन डालते हो। आप कहाँ नहीं घूमेंगे, फ्लाइट में नहीं चढ़ेंगे।
Now, India is one of the 4 countries where smoking is one of the biggest killers. This, according to a new study published in the medical journal The Lancet. 1 in every 10 deaths worldwide is caused due to smoking. The study says over 11% of the 6.4 million deaths worldwide was caused by smoking in 2015, and 52.2% of them took place in China, India, US and Russia. China, India and Indonesia are the 3 leading countries with male smokers, accounting for 51.4% of the world's male smokers in 2015. The report says researchers studied smoking habits in 195 countries and territories between 1990 and 1995. Let's talk a bit more about this. Dr. Gagan Saini now joining me in the studio. He's a senior consultant at the Oncology Department, the Fortis Hospital in the National Capital Region. Dr. Saini, first of all, thanks so much for joining us here. Now, these are some startling statistics that we see. China, India and Indonesia, 3 leading countries with maximum number of male smokers and so many deaths related to smoking. These are absolutely mind-boggling statistics.
These are absolutely mind-boggling indeed. What is also mind-boggling is the fact that India is the #1 consumer of smokeless tobacco. So while the Lancet study was more about smokers, so India is the #1 consumer of smokeless tobacco. And when we say smokeless tobacco, we all know the gutkhas which everybody is popping into their mouth. And we are having 50% of the world's load of mouth cancer. And that's really debilitating and killing.
And these numbers are not even included in this study,
yes,
right?
Yes. And so tobacco is a killer, period. Tobacco is a killer. Now, how it's going to kill, that's what we are talking about. Tobacco is becoming a killer. Increasingly, it's becoming a bigger and a better killer, if you may say that. And yeah.
But what are the reasons? Why do so many people take to chewing of tobacco in all forms, be it smoking or chewing or a mix of both?
So it has some of it lies in the fact that the cigarette which is constructed, it's basically a piece of engineering, and it's constructed in such a way that you will like it. So you know people. One of them likes one brand of smoking, the other person. So they are separate pieces of engineering. So each one gets their fix through a certain brand. And the Surgeon General released a report back in '60s, and they clearly implicated that nicotine is the reason why you get hooked to something like that.
Right.
So that's one part of it. But of course, smokeless tobacco has a lot of cultural thing also in our country, because there is a lot of culture of smoke, of having tobacco in form of pan and other thing, and that's a cultural thing which can be easily reflected in the fact that sometimes in marriages you are giving pan,
Yes.
and that has to be done, and supari, and that has to be done. So cutting a long story short, it's very deep rooted. So it's not just because cigarette smoking companies are giving a lot of advertisements. We are using it in our cultural, activities on day-to-day basis. So it's much more deeper ingrained.
Right. Tell us about the kind of patients that come to you. You're, of course, in the oncology department. A sense of how many cases of these of cancer are linked to consumption of tobacco?
Well, I see very rarely a case of head and neck cancer which is not related with tobacco.
Okay.
That much I can be very clear about. I see very rarely a case of lung cancer which is not related with tobacco. Although lung cancer is rising in women, and in non-smoking women it's rising. That's a separate reason for that. So it's rising, and we do see that. But tobacco is as we say, is the biggest reason. So if we plot a graph, okay, what are the causes of cancer? So there are two biggest causes of cancer. One is tobacco, and equally important cause is obesity and poor physical health.
Okay.
So equally bad. So since of course that's beyond the scope of this present discussion, but yeah, tobacco is bad, and so is being overweight. So
let me also quote some previous statistics that came in, were presented in the Indian Parliament by the Health Ministry a couple of years ago. In 2014-15, 93.2 billion sticks were consumed in a year in the country. Now that is, according to these statistics, 10 billion sticks less than what was being consumed in 2012-2013. So it looks like that the number of smokers, the number of cigarettes being smoked is actually declining, but the deaths that we're seeing because of perhaps smoking are on the rise. How would you explain that?
Yes, that's a very good question, and the explanation is actually quite simple. Let me start by saying that I would still say that ours is one of the countries which still has these kind of things. You're having that picture on the cigarette packet. It's not there anywhere else. You go around, it's not there. So certainly things are happening. Things are happening definitely at the policy level. Execution level takes time, probably somebody else can answer that. Now, coming to the fact that the number of deaths are increasing, we must understand that the deaths because of tobacco don't happen in a day or in a year or two. It is accumulated over a period of time. Right. And that accumulation of deaths over a period of time is what we are seeing. So maybe last year we consumed less sticks, but that reflection is going to come later. So there is something called as a tobacco epidemic. There's a concept called tobacco epidemic. The tobacco epidemic is something which goes like this, and it's very logical actually. Slowly and slowly the population starts consuming more and more tobacco. Okay. Then the governments, they start intervening, and the thing starts falling a little bit. Okay. Slowly it falls. In the meantime, the women start using cigarettes. Okay. So it starts. So in our country, the tobacco epidemic is at that point where it's peaking. All right. And the women are also starting, which we can see in our society, right? So yes, that kind of explains it, that this increasing number of smokers is what is ultimately coming there.
That's what the study also says, that the number of women smokers in India in that time period went up from 5.3 million in 1980 to 12.7 million in the year 2012. Yes. So what about e-cigarettes? I wanted to come up. This is a new trend with the people getting all these China-made e-cigarette brands, and there are many of them with different flavors of tobacco. What is that all about? Does it really help?
Certainly. Again, a very nice question. So what we have to understand is that if this is a cigarette and somebody is addicted to it, he's addicted to it because of nicotine. But he's getting the cancers and other things because of the chemicals inside it. Right. So if the person gets his nicotine fix by something else, say chewing gum or an e-cigarette, there's a possibility that he can, or he or she can, leave the cigarette. In fact, there's a very nice study which says that if I am using a nicotine replacement therapy in a cohort and I'm not using the nicotine replacement therapy in another cohort, and both the cohorts are trying to leave their smoking habit, I'm having a double chance of making people quit in the cohort that I'm using nicotine replacement. So e-cigarette is definitely a good concept on that. You can get your fix of nicotine, and you can just hope and you keep trying. But the fact is that one has to be motivated.
Right.
Motivation is a must.
And one cannot be dependent then on these e-cigarettes as well. It's only a mode to quit the actual act of smoking. How much, we mentioned the pictorial warnings earlier, how much do you think more taxation on tobacco products and more pictorial warnings, how much can that really help?
I would say that pictorial warnings is very nice. The pictorial warnings need to change. It cannot be the same. And then there has to be probably an insert inside which somebody can read sometimes. So that's about warning. But what will actually make a difference is a fundamental change in the schooling level. So if we intervene at the schooling level, when kids are yet to form the habit and they can influence their families and all that, that's where the difference will start coming in. And of course, there has to be a slow and steady cultural difference. But may I also make a small note of this?
Sure.
Smokeless tobacco, big problem I told about. A huge part of that problem is the fact that many people in their cities and they don't get their fix of food, so they try to suppress their hunger by using that. So there are certainly things required at all levels to actually
and just before we let you go, I wanted your thoughts. In Kerala, in Aleppi or Alappuzha, as the place is called, the district health department is trying to set up special squads which consist of 300 health staffers to catch smokers in public places, and they want to make this prevalent in the whole of this district. Do you think something like this is going to actually work, this sort of moral policing at some level?
I don't know this class monitor type approach can actually help people quit. Maybe they'll start smoking somewhere else. I really don't know, but it's an experiment, and every social experiment is welcome. One can always draw their conclusions later.
All right. Dr. Saini, it was a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks so much for joining us here and educating our viewers on the ill effects, of a habit like smoking. We will be tracking developments on this, of course, this Lancet study right here on WION. But